You've heard it from your birth, for it's Christmas time throughout the whole wide earth. So ring those
Hello
bells
everyone,
and sing
welcome to
those songs.
Wuchina Twin Time. I am Ian Wuchina. This is my twin brother.
Ivan Wuchina,
And today we have
actor, comedian,
yes.
musician, Justin Kline.
We are very excited about our guest today.
Yes. Very, very interesting, very talented man.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
very,
yeah.
very much
Very
multi-talented,
funny.
very
Yeah,
funny, and just huge fans. This is like we're kind of like a little starstruck here.
Yeah.
Is that the movie you
the
were in?
movie starred in the Virginity Hit in 2010. It's celebrating its 10th anniversary this year, so this is a cool time to really get to talk to him about that, pick each other's brains a little bit. Yeah.
See what- exactly. So how are you today, man?
I'm doing all right. You might if you see me sweating, it's because don't believe the hype of thyroidism because it's not good. Like it affects me quite badly, and I'm not sensitive to heat. Don't believe the hype.
Cold up there in Iowa?
I haven't been outside today actually because I avoid going outside so I don't die.
Yeah.
But I think there's like snow outside.
Oh, really?
Nice,
Hey,
nice.
we're near Nashville, and it's pretty cold here, but no snow. Yeah.
Oh, you're in Nashville?
Yep.
Yeah. Our parents live in the Nashville area,
Grew up on a little rural farm outside of
in
Nashville.
Williamson County. Yeah. I think we'll start off with the Virginity Hit. Because that's one of my favorite movies. First, we want to just talk about our connection with the movie. We always loved the movie. Everything about it, the humor, the structure, the setting, the New Orleans setting, and just the dynamic you guys had as actors. It was just so much fun. And it really took us back. And when it came out, it really reminded us of our core group.
It came out the summer before our sophomore year at college, and we were all living at our fraternity house that summer because we had to stay there for like football and
practices and stuff.
And we all like our core group of friends. It was just like the movie, but it was like our own kind of version
of it. Yeah. It really made us feel alive and just pumped after it was over. And then even when we were watching it, it's just one of those movies. It's not a movie we ever forgot about. It always stuck with us.
Yeah, it's one we just always. It's always been on like our roster of like our favorite movies. Just like
just want to have a good time. We throw that movie on. Yeah.
For sure.
That's incredible to hear. That's really incredible to hear, and I appreciate it. I think all of us appreciate it. Yeah, for sure.
Thanks to you guys for making something that really has just made our lives better in a way, made our lives more fun.
More fun. I mean, we're movie lovers. That's what we are.
We're obsessed with movies. So we don't just watch movies.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah, we don't just watch movies, we live in them. If we like a movie, we'll get the soundtrack, we'll listen to that, we'll talk about it all the time. Like how we a lot of the soundtrack from this movie.
Over the years, we've found the soundtrack on the internet through different
we don't have all the songs yet, but we've got a lot of
kind of strung together our own soundtrack.
We'll just send you a little playlist
on iTunes.
Yeah.
There was a soundtrack at one point. I think I don't know if they ever put it out, but there was with track listings.
I think it might still be on iTunes or Amazon.
And Joe McGinty wrote a song for the movie, and I think David Millen sang it called "Kiss Me, King Me."
Yes, Kiss Me, King Me. That's like one of our. I think that's like one of my favorite ones.
They play that twice in the movie.
Yeah. And then that's like an awesome little bit of trivia there.
It was great. There was an original song and everything, and the music. Yeah, that's another thing we want to get into.
Oh, definitely.
How this interview came about? Well, it was around September 24th when the movie originally came out in theaters. I think nationwide, and we're like, hey man,
2010.
It's the 10th anniversary of that movie. We need to watch it this weekend. So we did, and then we sent out a tweet, tagging you and a lot of the actors and the directors, just being like, guys, really love this movie, and it's great to celebrate its 10th anniversary, something like that. And then you really appreciated it, commented, and we got to talking. And then I just immediately thought we both did. We knew right away you'd be a good person to interview because, your perspective, you were just a kid, an outsider.
You were really young and it's such a unique story.
Young, you were not even a professional actor who landed.
At the time, you were just, you were just this kid getting started out in the industry. And
you landed, a leading role in a big studio movie produced by some of American comedy's greatest
heavyweights in comedy and
and it's a very experimental and unique movie at that too. So that's just such
an interesting story,
such a unique thing you got to be a part of.
No, I was gonna say it's wild because and you guys know the story. I know you guys are nerds, but you guys know everything about the movie. But I was working as a production assistant. I wasn't even trying to be an actor to get in this movie, and so I was working behind the scenes because I had gone to film school for about a semester before I dropped out. But then I worked on as a production assistant, and then an executive producer on one of those movies was just like, "Hey, that guy has funny shirts and would be fun for an audition." And so he had me do this audition. I did it as a goof, it was so terrible. I didn't edit it. I didn't know the etiquette. It was just off the rails. And I sent it in, and it was they called me the next week and can you come down? See, I wasn't even. It was very strange indeed.
Called you in to come down the next week.
Well, Andrew and Huck wanted to do a Skype session with me, but I wasn't able to get the video right. And it was so strange. And I couldn't get the video going on my end. And so they just had me sing them a song on the piano because I was living in that old people's home at the time, which I told you about, which is if you're not in the know, that's very strange. And so I sing them Psycho Killer, and they're like, well, that's very good. But since your Skype doesn't work, how about you come down to New Orleans? And it was like, okay. So I was in Iowa, and I just drove to New Orleans. It took me like a day to get there, and I got there, and they were like, well, let's go to dinner. And it was Huck, Andrew, Monique Champagne, who's the production designer, and me, and we just talked. That was the audition. We just talked, and at the end of it, Huck and Andrew said, are you free this summer? And I said, yeah. And that's how it came about, I think.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. The movie really was ahead of its time, and we always thought it does deserve more appreciation. So we're really glad to help do our part.
Yeah. And how'd you feel when they told you had the role? Like, were you excited? Were you were you nervous? Like, because
how'd you find out? Like you said, like was it at that dinner when they told you that they want you to come out and all that?
So the person who got me involved in the audition was a man named Brent Caballero, who was a character with a Cajun accent. And when he first called me and he's like, oh, they liked your audition tape, he said, this movie is being produced by a man named Brent Ferrell, because he has a Cajun accent. And I was like, who the fuck is Brent Ferrell? And so I looked up, and there is a guy in New Orleans named Will Ferrell, who makes movies. And I was like, whatever. And it turned out he was saying Will Ferrell. And so at the time, I didn't really care. It's like, oh, I'm auditioning for a Will Ferrell movie.
Yeah.
And so it didn't really hit me at the time. And then when they said, are you free this summer? It was just very strange. Like you said, I came at it from an outsider's point of view where I didn't really, I mean, it was so fun. We had the summer of our life, but I didn't really care too much about my image on camera or what I was doing. Like I would have gladly worked behind the scenes on that movie instead of in front of it.
Yeah, but you got this role that was became such a substantial role. That's just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you and the other four guys feel any pressure to carrying this movie that was made by two comedy legends all on your own? I mean, I know you said you had a unique perspective. You're just kind of like going with it, but at any point did you feel like any sense of purpose where you're like, oh man, guys, we really gotta because I mean, it's a big movie. This is Will Ferrell and Columbia Pictures, big major studio, powerhouse. I mean, how'd you guys feel about that?
No, I think it was strange because we were all in the same position. Matt had done the pilot for Victorious, and it hadn't been picked up yet on Nickelodeon, so he was still in limbo there. But he had acted in that and some short films. Zach, I don't think had acted in anything, and Jacob was a child actor. He was in The Aviator and Shark Boy and Lava Girl. He was a child actor, and he hadn't done anything. But anyway, so they threw us down one by one, and they put us up in this house instead of putting us up in hotel rooms. They put us in this mansion, and they were like, "Hey, it's a mansion," and we were just all in the same boat, so we didn't feel like there was a lot of pressure on us. We just immediately became friends like that, and we were roommates. And so, like I said, I mean, the script was it was just a guide, whatever, and we just went with it. So, we didn't feel any pressure at all, I don't think. Speaking for myself, I can say no.
Yeah.
Well, it was a very laid-back production. You guys got to film a lot of it yourselves.
Oh man, that's the fun part.
Yeah, I mean, you were young guys. You probably partied a lot and had fun. You lived with each other. The three lead actors all summer. Like, how was that? They put, like you said, they put you up in this big New Orleans mansion.
And do you feel like they purposely put you in there because the directors? I think on the commentary they said they saw a video of just these friends, a group of friends that had a highlight video of just stuff with their life, and it gave them the idea. What if we get a group of people and throw them into and then everybody has their own story, their own personality that goes into the group.
No, I think that was the idea behind it, and yeah, I mean that's why they did that. But I mean, Huck and Andrew, I haven't listened to the commentary in forever. I don't know if I ever did, but Huck and Andrew came at it from a very documentarian point of view because I think they both went to NYU and studied being documentarians. And they loved they became obsessed with these YouTube channels. It was just a dude, and he would shoot his friends, and not only would it be the main guys, and there'd be side guys on the end, and you'd have this whole entire world, and it was just a guy on YouTube, and he wouldn't even have that many views, it'd just be a dude doing it to do it, and they'd have his own little world. And so they also, I think, wanted to do a spoof of probably a bad example, but like Nick Broomfield, like being a character involved in the documentary as well. And so to have those things to go together, a YouTube channel and then the Documentarian parody, was brilliant. So to put us up in a house was just to make it so realistic, to make it more of a documentary. It really is a documentary in a very good sense of the word.
Nice. Yeah. I like the approach they went with that. That just, I think it made such a difference in, because with movies people just are thrown into it and thrust into it. You guys got to establish that like best friend relationships where you guys really were like all best friends.
You just see each other when you're shooting. You were there with each other all day, every day.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, I mean, and there was a period of time before principal photography started where we just got to know each other, and we started filming those Superzak videos where it would just be like, I mean, that would be our job. I mean, I guess we were probably actually shooting and we're probably getting paid for it, but it'd be like, let's go to the water park today, or let's go laser tagging today and take our pants off, and like we'd have a thing every day where we'd go and we'd shoot hours and hours and hours of footage at a water park, and then 2 seconds of it would wind up in the movie, or even on the Superzak channel, you get 10 seconds of it. But we shot so much footage on that movie. It was incredible. Yeah.
They got you guys to shoot constantly, film everything, and so much of that, a lot of the footage really did end up into the movie.
There was a lot of footage shot by you guys in the movie.
Especially like certain sequences where you filmed it. We wanted to get into that.
Like, you guys really blended reality and fiction in a way that hadn't been done before, with this movie. That's another reason. So
it really was just kind of like,
the trailers and reviews, they called it, a new style of comedy. That was a really cool thing about
they played that.
The reviews we got, like the 4 reviews the movie got, where it was like Justin, who's yet to develop a chin, or Justin, the poor man's Pedro. Like those were so hilarious. I love those.
Those are pretty ridiculous, but
it's like they're going into things that don't even matter. It's like, what? It's a fucking movie, guys. Like,
I thought it was. Again, we were like 18 or 19, and they're picking on our appearance. But I laughed so hard at some of those. They were good.
Yeah.
You guys interacted on camera like the same way you guys did in real life, right? Like,
because we were roommates. And I mean, it wasn't just like, we're going to put you guys together and send you to a water park, or we're going to send you laser tagging, or any of the other number of places. It was, we are going to put you in a house and force you guys to be in this social experiment that we were creating. Andrew and Huck knew exactly what they were doing by creating this social experiment that could have gone horribly, horribly wrong. And at some points it did go horribly wrong. But no, so they created this experiment where we had to be friends. Or tried to be. I mean, it was like, our bedrooms we were roommates.
Was it hard, like trying to like keep reality away from fiction while you guys were filming? Because it really blended it to where it was one and the same almost, the reality and fiction.
So, and I've said this, you can find clips of me saying this, but like, I never read the script of the movie. I don't think I've ever read the script of the movie. I tried to find it actually, but in my email inbox the other day, but I couldn't find it. But I never read the script, and so aside for the movie would be like Matt and Zach would have a semi-scripted scene. And I think Matt's on record as saying like 80% of the film is improvised, but I think it's probably like a lot more was scripted than we say. But it would be like a scene where it's like Zach and Matt have these lines, and then it would be like, and Justin and Jacob are also there, like, and so we wouldn't have the lines, but then we would just be encouraged to respond and improvise along with that. And so it was very, very interesting to just be in a scene and not have lines.
Nice.
And the director said you and Jacob, you really didn't have many lines in the script, but as it went on, he said you really carved your own characters out of nothing, basically, and you created these funny, memorable characters that are like really important in the movie, and that are in most of the movie too. Like,
did they say that?
Yeah, he did
in
say
the
that.
commentary,
In the commentary that you guys literally carved out your own like characters from nothing, basically. Those were his words, and it is really cool. Like, you guys went in there not really knowing if you'd even do anything, or even you said you thought you'd be cut out of the movie before you saw it. You carved out this substantial role. It was really cool.
No, I don't even know if we did that. I think we were just ourselves. There's this. Okay, so maybe one of the funniest things I've ever seen is it was early on in the movie. I don't think we had started filming yet, and they had given us the camera, and we had gone to this restaurant to eat. And it was just like, take a camera to the restaurant and film yourself eating. And it was like the most mundane footage. And this was on one of the camera guys' website. It was private, and I somehow got on the password over. And it's like 20 minutes of just eating and not saying anything. So then we leave the restaurant, and Jacob's just being himself. And Jacob says, you know what we should do? We should just go to more restaurants, like all day, and just keep eating. It was like the funniest thing because he was just being himself. We weren't being characters, Jacob and I, or Matt and Zach for the most part. And so, yeah, no, I wouldn't say we carved out characters. I mean, all the wardrobe in the movie is my own. I was in the habit of wearing headbands at the time. Most of those clothes were mine. Yeah.
They mentioned that in the commentary too, how
They keep praising your wardrobe.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously were the best dressed in that movie.
yeah, that was another question we wanted to get to, is that wardrobe, because we heard
Yeah.
that you supplied it, so we're like, that doesn't happen very often in big Hollywood movies.
Yeah.
You don't, people, unless you're like Chris Penn in Reservoir Dogs, you know, you don't normally supply your own wardrobe.
Yeah.
So how was that? Like, was it kind of fun thinking about what am I going to wear today? Like, this is going to, you know, like throwing that together.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how I got hired in the first place, because I was wearing those clothes on the set of like behind the scenes of a movie as a production assistant, which is, if I can give advice to production assistants out there, do not wear floral shirts behind the scenes, because you will probably get fired unless you are a very special instance and you get put in a movie. Otherwise, they will not appreciate it. But I was wearing that stuff behind the scenes, and I think that's sort of how it was like, oh, he wears floral shirts, so let's get him to do an audition. And yeah, no, it was really fun. And I still have half the wardrobe in my closet that I still wear. And yeah, that was really exciting to just have my own headbands, and yeah, that was good stuff.
No, this is something Zach said in the commentary where I wrote
He
that.
said you're easily the funniest person he's ever met on the commentary. And they were just, everybody was praising you and how
And they
you
said every line in the movie is pure Justin that comes out of his mouth. There wasn't anybody telling him what to say. That was cool.
So,
It's
yeah.
very kind of him to say. Yeah. Well, I would say the same back to them, and I did want to talk a little about some of the other actors, because obviously Zach is he couldn't be funnier, and Matt playing that character and Matt being himself. I know I showed you some of the behind the scenes stuff with Matt being the character you see in the film. They're two of the funniest guys. Jacob, like I said, is one of the funniest guys. But even if you go down to people like Nicole, you throw her in the mix, and I don't think she had done anything previously. I could be wrong. And we're improvising, and Nicole's just thrown there. She's improvising along the rest of us. Krista, you have Krista there. She's doing the same thing as the rest of us. You have Harry playing the frat guy. Savannah came down, and then the rest, everyone. It's Sunny Leone. I mean, she was just improvising. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was like a perfect recipe.
It was the perfect mix, like we said before. Like everybody brought their A game. You know, everybody was so passionate.
Everybody was just on.
You could just see the commitment these people had to this movie, and that's just another thing. You know, it could have been just another teen sex comedy. You know, because that's what it was. But
right,
it was a lot more. Like
it became so much more.
The characters actually, were really unique. They were deep. They had, their emotions and feelings. It just,
and you feel like you know the characters. So many movies, the characters are kind of hollow, and this one you're thrust into it.
They weren't hollow,
but at the same time, you kind of know every character.
Yeah, you feel, and plus the whole found footage, mockumentary thing really takes you into the movie, and like in a way that the movies don't too. Yeah.
Yeah, we also wanted to get into. You said the first scene you filmed was the scene where he finds out that she's cheating on him, and you guys are in the car.
Yeah, it was like the first day of shooting, the first film on proper shooting day. You actually got to film that whole sequence, like with the cinematographer's
professional camera and all that.
Right. So I should say first that Luke Geisbuehler is an amazing director of photography. He's done so many great films.
He did both Borat movies. Yeah.
Yes, Luke. Yes, he did, and he's just a fantastic DP. But yeah, I think that was obviously before that we had all those days of like Water Park Day and whatever. But that was, I think, our first day of principal photography, and I could be way wrong. And they gave me the camera, and they had me shoot from the back seat, them in the front seat, and then we got out, and Matt was hitting because I watched the movie the other night for the first time in a decade, and Matt's hitting the dumpster with a bat, and then they fight or whatever, and then they chase them. And yeah, I was filming the thing with Luke's camera that whole time, and it was really good coming out of film school and working behind the scenes in films to be able to shoot something. And the cops got called on us that day. For the first time. They also got called on us a few other times. So apparently you can't just like beat up a dumpster.
Yeah, public property.
In the parking lot. Yeah.
And that was an important scene. He just found out that his girlfriend cheated on him, and his whole world was shattered, and like you guys were there to help him, but then you start fighting because there's just so much emotions going on. And you had one of the funniest lines. You're like, "Hey man, it's just a rumor. remember that everyone at school thought I was moving to Canada? Everyone believed it.
That's a true story. When I was in high school, there was a rumor going around that I was moving to Canada, and it was very strange because I had given no indication that I was moving anywhere, let alone Canada. And the teachers were asking me, "Hey, when are you going to Canada?" It was very strange stuff.
You never found out who started that rumor?
No, and like, why would they? It's a very specific rumor to start.
It's interesting how things like that happen. I remember in high school, we got into like field parties, and I remember there was this rumor. I just got these brand new Adidas, and there was this rumor that went around the whole high school that I sold my brand new Adidas just to fund beer for the party. And I was like, well, I mean, I was wearing the shoes then. It was just like, how did that even get started?
Yeah.
Like,
But no, we love that whole scene. Where,
yeah, that's like one of our favorite sequences. We
especially when him and Zach like start fighting about it. We'll get to the bottom of this.
just yell out the scenes like to each other, like the lines from it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. That was a great scene.
Now tell me about that favorite scene, that one of the favorite scenes of yours. I think it's in the basement where you all four of you and Chris are in the basement and they're watching the video of the girl who made Matt think she was someone else.
Performed the acts on the blow up doll.
And was just trying to, use them for some like experiment,
for her for her graduate
for a
thesis.
degree or something. Yeah.
Right. So I had two favorite scenes, and that was one of them because all four of us got to be on camera. It's the only time in the entire movie, unless I'm completely mistaken. I just watched it again the other night, but I think that's the only scene where all four of us are on camera, and we're watching the thing on the TV with Savannah playing Becca, telling us that it was an experiment or whatever, and we all just got to completely improvise that that scene, and we each, as it went on, Owen Burke, a great producer, was feeding lines a lot of times to other characters like John, the innkeeper, and stuff like that, and occasionally us. But he fed us no lines. We were just coming up with our own punchlines. And I know I had one that I really liked, and Jacob had plenty, and Zach and a million, and we were just cracking each other up. It was definitely one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, it's one of ours too, for sure.
Yeah, you were talking about the Superzak YouTube channel. It's the channel that you guys use within the movie, but you said during editing they put the channel up and got Zach, or they put like videos up from the movie or clips that were actually used in the movie, and it was put up as an attempt to promote it and make people think the movie was real. They look at that and they think the movie's real. They're like, this movie's real. Holy shit.
Like they're like, I just saw this movie and I thought it was real.
I'm so glad to know it's real now.
And now I see these and I know it is real. I think,
so they really were confusing
Interesting
people.
way to promote it.
They really were confusing people if it was real or, mockumentary style and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people did think it was real. And that was a long process of deciding whether or not we were going to do that or not. But yeah, the Superzak was so fun because a lot of those things were stuff we just filmed on our own. There's a video I advise you not to watch, and I'm not going to say what the title is because it's just going to make people watch it. It's the Streisand Effect, but it's a film of me everyone's gone, and I just had a bad encounter with a woman, and I pick up the camera and just rant into the camera for about 4 minutes, and I completely forget that this happened, and then a year later they're editing it and they're like, oh wait, we found this video, and Huck and Andrew are just like, this is an amazing, and it's a very not good video to watch. But no, we filmed a lot of the stuff. Sometimes we were given suggestions of things to do, like, oh, you pretend that you're passed out and we're gonna throw water on you. But a lot of the stuff, it was just like we had cameras in the house, and so let's wake up somebody with musical instruments. Yeah, a lot of the stuff is real stuff that happened.
You guys were really kind of living your lives, interacting with each other, and that's
also filming stuff to make a Hollywood movie with.
It's just so, it's just such a crazy approach, but it's so awesome because it's just man, like I said, so ahead of its time in a way, and just even now, you don't really see anything like that. And it's just that's such an incredible bit of trivia to hear, especially using that as promotion and things like that.
Absolutely, yeah. There's some real tension in some of those scenes. I know I have some on my channel, but yeah, if we were upset with each other, you can definitely see that in some of those scenes. It's really funny stuff, that video. I would recommend people watch it, except that one video.
Yeah.
And also the page, has a lot of clips that, are longer than they were in the movie. So it's cool to see extended versions of certain scenes, especially that first scene where you guys first get the bong. It's called the Virginity Hit for people who don't know, because they have this bong that they take a celebratory hit out of after each one of them loses their virginity. And the beginning of the movie is when they first get it, and one of them does their first hit. So online that scene's a lot longer. That was cool to see.
Yeah. So you kind of get to see an extended version of the movie if you kind of low key, if any
fans
you
ever find it,
check that out. It's awesome.
Something I was always wondering, is that even a bong It's like a something.
Yeah, hookah.
Yeah, it is kind of more like a. I guess you would call it a bong because it's it's got like the tubes that come out of it.
I've always thought that wasn't even a bong.
Yeah. So was that real weed you guys are smoking throughout the movie? And if it wasn't, what was that like?
No, that would be illegal.
Yeah.
True.
No, we smoked this stuff. I don't remember what it's called, but Zach and I used to call it Wizard's Den, just because. Well, I don't want to speak for anyone else, and so if I talk about stuff that happened behind the scenes, I'm only speaking for myself. But like I got high quite a bit behind the scenes, and I think one time Zach and it must have been I thought the artificial weed was called Wizard's Den. So we just called it Wizard's Den for the rest of the movie. But yeah, it was just like fake pot. I don't know.
Yeah. We worked on we did some locations work on that Brian Banks movie. Tom Shadyac filmed it in Tennessee a couple years ago.
He filmed it in Memphis, yeah.
That's how we got cool with Greg Kinnear. Well, there's a
Greg Kinnear one, yeah.
Yeah. They filmed a scene where Brian Banks as a kid's walking by some like
a sketchy neighborhood.
And there's like kids smoking weed, and they had just like trays.
They hired the prop department just to roll up fake joints.
Yeah, and they had like trays of like the fake weed. Like I don't know if it was the same one you guys had, but it was just funny to kind of like because you always wonder about that kind of stuff. We got to talk about the famous shot before we get
the famous shot of you in the refrigerator that was used in every trailer,
every promotion, every TV spot.
And there was for R-rated movies, people who don't know, they release R-rated trailers, and then they release green band trailers that they can show anywhere.
They'll release trailers that they can play after 9 o'clock and like before R-rated films.
And explain the whole thing that went down with that shot.
So so there's an amazing story before and after. One of the things is like we were that was another mansion that there wasn't much fun. It was a really, really nice house. And so we used that house for a lot of locations actually, or for a lot of scenes. And there was a freezer, or I guess it's a refrigerator in that house. And the idea was like, hey, how about you get in the house or the thing naked, and we'll have. It was. I mean, the prank was really. It was real. It was legitimate. Where Zach was trying to get Krista to open one and not know I was in there, but no. So we filmed that scene. And if you go on YouTube, I think you can actually see my genitals. And for whatever reason, they decided to use that unusable shot in all the promotion. And even in like in the green band trailer, they photoshopped underpants on me. Very strange. And in the red band trailer, they photographed like another bottle that I'm holding. And then they had a wallpaper that you could download. It was like 2010. One of a wallpaper you could download with like a quote on it in the Virginity Hit or whatever, but it was that photo. Some guy got paid to do that.
Yeah, we were just talking about.
So Columbia Pictures had to find a guy to put fake underwear.
They paid somebody to like paint fake underwear on.
A guy spent a day putting fake underwear on. Yeah, it's very strange. No, I wasn't like just standing there like full frontal naked. I had like I think it was a bottle there, but in like the red band, I think they just added another bottle.
Yeah. They played around with that shot a lot.
They really did. I can't remember if Luke shot it or I'm trying, because I think I saw a clip of it, and I think Luke. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Luke shot that on the actual camera instead of us on the DV camera.
You really spooked Krista when she opened it up and saw you in there naked.
Yeah, I would say that's probably illegal these days, and I'd be me too'd. But no, Krista's a good sport, and that was definitely a fun scene to film.
Like it was a lot like filming a Jackass movie with you guys. I mean, all bets were off. You know, you were encouraged to like play pranks on each other and mess with each other.
Other people too, and things like that.
It's just
that's very much so like, and just to speak to that, and not to the Jackass part, but it would be like Jacob would walk up to Huck and Andrew and be like, "Hey, how about we do a video where I kiss a girl?" And they'd be like, yeah, "Sure." And so we'd get a camera and be like, "Oh, hey, you have to kiss Jake." Like that's how it was. It was lunacy.
Yeah. What about like the scene where it's revealed that you're, the third friend of the core four to like have crossed the bridge to your virginity? Just cuts to you like on the bed.
There was a montage of them all losing their virginity, over time. It's like,
and then every time they lose their
7 months later, they all hit the bong, and then it starts when it's Matt's turn. That's what the whole movie is. It's just their journey. His crazy stepbrother filming everything against his wishes of him losing his
adopted brother, yeah.
It was adopted brother, yeah. On the back it says stepbrother on the DVD, but in the movie it's actually his adopted brother.
Yeah. Who puts those things together?
That scene went on for a very long time instead of like the 30 seconds you see in the movie, because initially it was supposed to be secretly shot by Zach and Matt, or probably Luke, who's holding the camera. And so they started outside that building that we were in, and the direction was just like, okay, start making out. And like Carrie, who was a great sport about it, and I, it was just like we kept making out, and then something happened that I guess I shouldn't go into, and a robe came out, and no, it was just like yeah, a lot of making out, and it was really fun. Carrie was a very good sport about it, very good sport.
She was in the movie a lot. Like you see your character hanging out with her more in the movie too, in other parts.
Yeah. And
I think it's just one scene later in the movie where we kiss. She
Yeah.
wasn't as close to us as some of the other extras. One of the extras you see in the film a lot is named Kathleen Barnes, and she's one of my best friends. And she's like the one Zach loses his virginity hit to. They shotgun, and you see her on the back of scenes a lot, or like when they're reacting to videos, she's always there.
Yeah.
And she was definitely really cool.
A big thing about the whole blending reality with fiction thing is that everybody in the cast pretty much used their real names. How was that? Like that was cool.
I mean, that's how the movie was made. If we didn't do that, we wouldn't have been able to make it. Even beyond Zach, Matt, Jacob, and Justin, Harry, Krista, Nicole, Sonny, everyone. I think everyone except I think Matt's biological dad went by Seth, but I think his real parents, Ramona and Bernard, I think they just went by mom and dad or something else. But yeah, if not for using our real names, we wouldn't have been able to make that movie happen.
it definitely established that.
It really made everything flow easy, I'm sure, not having to, remember, the fake names or anything like that, especially when, you're filming stuff of you guys just hanging out for real that makes it into the movie. So that was a really cool touch, the whole real name thing. Improvisation was obviously very important. How was it being in a movie that was just, everything was improvised? Like, was that?
Well, I mean, I know there was stuff that was scripted and you guys kind of had the outline, but like, how did the directors like direct you all in terms of like the improvisation and then following kind of what they already had in mind for the scene?
Right. So I would contrast it with a movie. I did a cameo in a movie for Huck about many years later, and I had like 2 lines. I was helping this guy find a condom or something. I was like, "Which one do you want?" And I was sort of putting my own little spin on it just because I had only done the Virginity Hit before. So I was like, "Hey, well, which one do you want?" But not trying to be funny, just putting my own spin. And Huck was like, "Man, this isn't the Virginity Hit." So so the script was an outline. Like I said, I'm sure a lot more of it was scripted than like Matt, Jacob, Zach, and I say was. But just because you have to have. We had a scripty, by the way, a script supervisor for those who don't know, Sandy Parker. Well, she's wonderful. She came out for my birthday a year ago. She read The Great Gatsby for the entire movie because there was no like script supervision to be done. There was a scene that I think was incredible with Ramona, Bernard, and Seth, where it's the scene where it's the birthday scene, and I was off camera for some weird reason, and it's Matt's biological dad and then his adoptive dad, and he gives him a sobriety chip or whatever, and obviously, I mean, that's scripted, we had actors in, but I think at one point they just improvised and went off on their own, and it had to be a good 10-15 minutes of them just going at it and just being in their characters, and it was incredible. And when they yelled cut, everyone, like, without like, oh, let's do this, everyone just burst into applause, and I think they got a standing ovation. It was just incredible. So again, the fact that we had these actors and actresses, or I just should just say actors, that could improvise just like the main, and it was just incredible. It was wonderful.
You said you had one day off that whole shoot, but we called you in for that scene.
That
great scene you're talking about of Matt's birthday party, and you're visible at the very beginning of the scene.
Am I?
Matt's panning around, and you can see you there for a
second.
second.
And then you're kind of like in the scene, like with them, but you're
Jacob there?
You're just kind of reacting.
Yeah.
I don't think Jacob was there, but there was one day that Jacob and I had off. We're like, dude, we're gonna go buy some nice shoes, because I mean that's something that Jacob would do, and so we're like, let's go buy some nice shoes. And as we're in my car driving there, because I had my car there because I was like, I had driven down to New Orleans and I had lived there for a while, and we were in my car and I got a call and it's like, hey, you need to come in, man, we need you in this birthday scene. I was like, oh shit. So they put me off screen, and that was my only day I was supposed to have off.
You got to be there to witness the chaos.
That's great that they all just kind of like, just during the birthday scene, they just went at it with each other and were improvising, just coming up with so much funny shit that made it into the scene. Like
poignant stuff to the plot too.
That was the day Michael Jackson died.
Oh, wow. Really? June, I guess.
June. Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
but yeah, so like you didn't know you were going to be in the scene,
Yeah,
but then you got to just get thrown into it, and like it's just one of your favorite things about the movie and your experience there. So it kind of worked out like pretty awesome. I think that's a really cool little tidbit right there.
And filming in New Orleans, it's a great city. You lived there for a while.
Yeah, the summer the movie came out.
Yeah, the summer the movie came out, I went on a trip to New Orleans, and it was so awesome. It was a great trip, and then when I saw the movie, it always took me back to that. So that's another reason, I kind of connected to it right away. Like, how was it filming in? They could have filmed it in New York. They could have filmed it in L.A. like every other movie Will Ferrell and them usually do typically. So what was it like, getting to shoot it in New Orleans, a place like that?
Well, the fact of the matter is, that's no longer really. I mean, right now filming is obviously up in the air, but like back before all of this, most movies were being filmed in Louisiana because it's a right to work state. I don't know how great that is, but also there are tax credits if you shoot there. And so it was at the point where, like, if you go to like a multiplex or whatever, a good I don't know, 7 out of the 10 movies you saw were being shot in New Orleans or Shreveport or Baton Rouge. Like, I know we were down there filming at the same time as I know Jonah Hex and also The Last Exorcism, which was Huck and Andrew's other movie that they wrote and gave up to someone else to direct. And there was another one, but I mean, there were at least 4 or 5 films going on at the exact same time that we were shooting there.
Yeah, they had a big boom like around that time. I remember like both Jump Street movies were filmed there. I mean, it's just everything really. And since we're kind of based out of the South, a lot of people do they'll go from Tennessee or whatever, and they'll go do a production in Louisiana, and then
some people from Louisiana will come up here to work,
stuff like that.
That and Georgia's a big one right now too.
Yeah, Georgia's really booming too. You hear a lot about that.
But what was cool is that they actually set the movie in Louisiana. They didn't say, "Oh, this is you're not going to let you know." Like the Jump Street movies, it was like set in Metro City or something that.
Yeah.
But this one was New Orleans. It was in New Orleans, a very New Orleans movie, but that was really cool.
Very much at the heart of the film was kind of like a New Orleans kind of like story, like you want to call it teenage pulp, you can call it teenage pulp, whatever you want.
Yeah, it's like, we get to go to the French Quarter. I mean, it's everything in that movie is really fun. And like all of those, like the hotel is a real hotel. It was a real dining room. I mean, because we weren't like shooting with sets. We were in rooms where, we have the fourth wall behind us instead of just 3 walls, and we're shooting the set like in porn. Like, I know we just had the 3 walls or whatever. But since we had these sets, we were able to go into the actual locations in New Orleans, and it was really fun.
It creates a more organic feel to the film. I think when you get to kind of get thrust in some real locations. Like I said, we've done locations before, so we always kind of enjoy those.
We're talking about the hotel that Matt tries to lose his virginity to Cole in, and then you said you also filmed the birthday scene at a restaurant that was in that hotel. How was that hotel? John the innkeeper stole the show in a lot of scenes. Like, how was all that?
John is probably the best part of the movie, and I do want to say something about John, but the question was, how was shooting everything in that hotel?
Yeah.
It was just like anything else. I mean, you see us walk up into the hotel, and he was playing the clerk or the innkeeper or whatever, and then we went up, and I think John is this guy he's what you see is what you get. Like, he's not like laughing behind, like he's not giggling at the funny lines he's being said. He's just that he is who he is. And so Owen, like I said, an executive producer who would pep up the scripts a little bit, would just, so Huck and Andrew would have a earpiece in, and Owen would be out and he'd be listening, and they'd give him something to say, and it'd be like, "Are you guys here for the homosexual convention?" Or like chimp frogging was the only scene where I think we all lost character, because it was like chimp frogging, the one where the monkey's giving being head by the frog, and we broke down because John he's just incredible.
The chimp frogging, they put that in the credits, and you could see the laughs on Matt's face.
Yeah.
His laughing is real.
And they ended up using him a lot in a lot of the promotion too, his character, which was
well, that's what I was gonna say really quickly. They actually not only used him in promotions, all 4 of us did a lot of Q&As for the movie. We went around the country and did Q&As.
Kind of fun stuff. I know you guys got to.
I know you guys did a screening at Comic-Con.
Premieres, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I did one like Chicago, and Matt and I did a bunch together. But they sent John to do one, and John, like I said, he is what you get. And the critics just went at him because they were like, would you like how in good conscience would you let your sons or daughters go see this movie? And they just like they let him have it, and John was in no way like capable of like going, and I wouldn't have been either. But they were just like it's, and that's another interesting thing about the movie too. Is I'm surprised when I watch it. There's not that much nudity. The only nudity is in the context of a strip club and watching porn, which is nudity you have to have.
Yeah.
There's very little drug use. We smoke, there's 3 minutes at the beginning and about 2 minutes at the end. Occasionally you see us with the beer. All the critics thought it was like the raunchiest thing they'd ever seen, but looking back, there's not a whole lot of anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, very strange.
Not even really that offensive. I mean, like one thing I always like what Roger Ebert said about comedy. It's you're supposed to be offended. It's supposed to be politically incorrect sometimes. Like, and you can't go into a comedy movie, just expecting, it to be rated PG. It's just
You can't like fault it for being.
Can't fault it for crossing the line. I mean, that's what comedy is. Yeah.
Right, and I actually felt that our film was fairly politically correct. I mean, there are morals in the movie. We aren't just, sex. I mean, there are morals to the movie. There are like actual dramatic scenes that deal with like drug habits, and there's an amazing line where I don't know if I can get it completely right, but Matt's biological dad says, "Sorry, man, I'm a drug addict." And
Dude, that scene was so funny where he finds out his dad just took away
like
all
siphoned all his
college fund, and so you guys go to this swamp in the middle of nowhere so we can go talk to his dad and find out. And he's like, he's holding a chicken, and it was gold. It was hilarious.
Yep, and then he goes to his trailer and his girlfriend's in there. Like,
yeah. Going back to a second ago, anything questionable that happens in the movie, I mean, what they're doing is supposed to be wrong. I mean, that's the point, like Zach's supposed to be an asshole for filming everything, like
absolutely.
What's the point,
Absolutely. And yeah, the point of the film is to be voyeuristic and to be, like I said, a take on the documentary thing. And yeah, that's the point.
Yeah. And
that boat scene, were you there?
The boat scene, the swamp, like we wanted to talk about there's a whole sequence in the movie that takes place at this swamp.
Literally in the swamps of Louisiana for people watching this, which is awesome.
Yeah, because they go visit his dad, but then after that they go to a bar, like a swampy, like, bar, and then you guys camped out a night in the movie. That was really cool. So yeah, how was all the swamp sequences?
So really quickly about that bar, I don't remember if it was in the swamp area or not, because that was our very last day of shooting.
Okay.
And so we almost like they tried to kick us out of the bar because all of us except for Zach were underage. And so they gave us permission to shoot in the bar, but then they're like, "Oh, well, we're gonna kick you out." And so like, I don't know, like Amy Hobby and Owen Burke did some sort of backhand deal with them or something, and they let us in the bar. As for the swamp, it was hot, very, very hot. So I remember one of the very first things I did when I was down there before even Matt was there. I know Huck, Andrew, Amy, and I, and Matt and Zach, excuse me. We went on a location shoot, and we went to the swamp, and it was like we saw alligators and crocodiles. It was crazy.
There's a shot of a bunch of crocodiles or alligators in the water at one point.
Oh, are there in the actual movie? Are there alligators and crocodiles?
Yeah, when you guys first get there and you're standing on the dock about to get in the boat for the guy to take.
Oh, and the thing falls.
Yeah, there was a cutaway shot of some alligators looking above the water, but yeah, and then the dock kind of collapsed inward. Was that real when the dock collapsed?
I think that was real. I could be wrong. Don't quote me, but I think that was real. And it's amazing. If it was real, the guy's reaction was fantastic because he was just playing it like, you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. How about when the boat crashed?
His dad, never really was there for him, but he has this boat that he gets around the swamp with called Courage. It's fucking hilarious. When his dad just, pisses him off again and just, shows you can't count on him or anything anymore.
And you guys are just like, we're
and you guys are leaving. Matt turns on the boat's motor and lets it fly off, and it does a flip and like crashes, and it's the only thing his dad cares about.
Did they pull that on a cable? Was it visual effect? Do you remember how?
Yeah, how they do that boat flipping thing?
I don't remember how. I'm sure. I mean, it would have had to be on the cable, right? I mean, but I think it was one of those things where it's like we can only do this once. It's not like we have a whole bunch of boats sitting around, and we did it with us because we had to have the reaction shot of us in the.
Yeah,
you guys are in the same shot, like, as it moves.
It's a really remarkable
shot.
Yeah,
there's no cuts because we have that going like that, and then we turn around and it's us in the boat. So yeah, I mean, it had to have been some sort of cord or special, but I don't remember. I mean, the stunt people we had in that movie, the special effects people we had in the movie were just incredible, especially for a movie this unconventional. But yeah, that was incredible. Yeah.
The camping scene where you guys are all camping. Did you guys you didn't really camp out there? Like, how was that?
No, I think Krista would have not been amused. Well, it was just so hot, and we were so happy to go home. Yeah, we would have gone back to the house every night. And
Nice.
I know that was at least 2 or 3 days of shooting.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's that was a long sequence, that whole swamp thing.
Yeah. Very funny sequence.
Well, tell us about that scene of you putting up the microphones with Zach and the Captain John Romero. It's a persona you do.
Oh yeah.
In your comedy acts and your stand-up, Captain John Romero, and you actually got to do a scene in character as that character of your own. How was that?
I did. Andrew and Huck asked me to do it, and then it's like, can we? And I don't know if it was actually meant to be Captain John Romero, or it was just me in silly costume. But I think I asked people to call me Captain John Romero. I could be, it's been 10 years, or actually 11 years now. But it was so fun, and to have that in a movie is so incredible because I still use that character to this day. And my very first time on stage, which was during the Virginity Hit, because it was one of those let's go to the water park, but then it was like let's go to the comedy club thing, and I got up on stage as that character, and yeah, they just asked me if I could do it, and that scene. I remember that scene was completely improvised. I think the sides must have been like Zach and Justin, or Zach and Captain Romero set up mics. Because I remember
you were testing that mic and you said, "Oh baby, that's the wrong hole." Okay, this
yeah,
sounds good.
It works.
We were on the floor, like rolling on the floor, laughing so hard.
Yeah, that was definitely improvised. Yeah, but what I'm like one of the two of the funniest things in that scene are when I have like a mic in a toilet roll, and then I have a thing, and I'm just going like this, and also when I hide behind the lamp, or what do you call it, the thing on the window. Yeah, definitely a fun scene to shoot.
You guys brought a lot of life into that scene. Like you said, there was no script. That's really cool.
That's so cool. You got to incorporate a character of your own creation into like this big Hollywood like movie, and then it's this scene. That's an awesome story.
Oh, absolutely, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, another thing we felt like, when promoting the movie,
how the marketing was
and
kind
then
of
in
like
the reviews, a lot of people really unfairly compared it to other movies.
Which was
this
kind
movie was so original and so its own thing. It was a teen sex comedy. That. You see movies about a group of friends trying to lose their virginity before, but it was its own thing,
Exactly, it was in the approach, and
they tried to say, "Oh, it's American Pie meets Superbad,"
which was really nothing like,
or something. But yeah, they don't need to just always compare it to other movies when they review things.
That's what they did. Really, they saw the movie and they were just like, teen sex comedy, so we're just going to approach it like that and review it as such. I don't think they really put in thought. I mean, there were some amazing reviews that really went into how great, the casting was. And that sounds really right. I didn't mean that like that. But I mean how it felt like we were actually friends.
Yeah.
And, a lot of reviews did say that. Even the negative reviews, I think, went into that, except for the one who said I couldn't grow a chin. But yeah, even the negative reviews went into that. And it was strange that a lot of the reviewers didn't even give it a chance, it felt like.
Exactly.
And it didn't even get reviewed a lot. It didn't really have much of a wide release. And like I was telling someone the other day, because I watched it, when it came to theaters, I was living in Omaha, Nebraska, or Bellevue, Nebraska at the time, and my friend came down and was like, "Oh, this is going to be great. Like, we're going to go see the movie, and I'm going to be here, and like I'm going to be on screen, and people are going to be like, oh, the dude's in the movie." So we get there at like 6:30, whatever, so we get there, and we're like, okay, we're going to wait for everyone to come in. No one showed up. So we're like, all right, it's 6:30 p.m. We'll go to a later showing. So we go out, and we exchange our tickets for like a 10 p.m. showing. We go in there. Only one's there. But then a couple comes in, starts making out, then notices that we're there, and they leave. So that was like, like I said, we were the 4th worst box office opening of all time at that point. I think we're now like probably like 40th or something, but it was not ideal. So it didn't actually get widely reviewed in terms of like getting a Rotten Tomato score or something like that. You've got like 17 reviews.
Yeah.
I remember when it came out, but I don't know, if anything, that's kind of cool that it was the 4th lowest. That gives it more notoriety.
It's got this legacy now.
It gives it more notoriety in a way.
Yeah.
Like I remember that Ooga Loves movie, some like movie with puppets or people in suits came out.
It had like Carrie Always in it.
I don't know, it might have opened lower than that or like around that, and like the directors and filmmakers came out like, look, this is the kind of exposure we wanted for this movie. And I thought that was cool. Yeah.
I just think like it works in the favor for a movie like yours because it makes it stand out in a way, and you kind of like it has all these stories already associated with it automatically that make it this movie people really need to like take another look at.
Absolutely. And we definitely appreciate the fans that came to this movie, because we attract sometimes we attract the crazies, but then we attract people like you who are film nerds and really appreciate the film for what it was. And so the people we do attract are just the people who are just going to the multiplex to see American Pie or whatever. The fans that I've run into, like you guys, was really incredible. And yeah, it's that worked in our favor in terms of getting the right fan base, I think.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those movies that just the technical, like when I'm watching the movie the whole time, especially I'm sure other viewers, like they're not just enjoying the movie and stuff, but they're like, man, how in the hell did they even accomplish this scene? And like, because there's so much that has to go into, lockups, you name it. But the way you guys were filming, all that stuff had to have been way like more tough
People
to do.
couldn't tell like what scenes were staged and what scenes were real.
Yeah, and like that's another thing about the movie. And then as filmmakers ourselves, like it's just a movie that we kind of like have been watching.
You analyze, you're like, man, how'd they do that? That is so funny.
And it's given us ideas with our own projects over the years to kind of like remember how they shot something or how something was accomplished, or like even the effect of like a joke, how something lands. We're like, we kind of want to emulate that. It's very influential film for us.
There were scenes we couldn't tell what was real and what was staged.
And you could, and then you kind of hypothesize which character's filming, and you kind of throughout the whole movie you kind of know, oh, that character's filming that scene because you don't see him.
Cheese. Okay, so we had this in joke where we thought Huck Botko should be in one of those like really bad 80s cops movie, and we thought it'd be funny if it was like hot cone cheese. Hot cone cheese. And so at various points in the movie, there are off-screen characters where it's like there are the four of us, but like just technically it doesn't make sense who's filming who's holding the camera. So when we were filming, it's like, oh, Cheese, him and the camera. Or I know one that did make it into the movie is when somebody calls Zach toward the end. I forget what they're calling him about, and Zach answers like, oh, hey, Cheese. And so yeah, we did. There was a lot of, because Luke obviously was filming almost the entire movie, and so if we didn't have an approach to shoot it, it would just be like, Cheese is shooting it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a scene in the van. He answers his phone and he's talking to Cheese, Zach, and that's another good thing. Tell us about that van. There's this big half camper, like late '80s, early '90s van you guys are driving around that I'm sure was impossible to get through like wide roads and parking garages and stuff, like, but that's like you guys' vehicle the whole movie. It's really kind of quirky van.
And we grew up with a van
that kind of looked like that at one point.
Like that,
yeah.
I think there's a toilet in the back of that van.
Did it actually work, or
I don't know. There's a scene on Superzak where I think Matt's going to the bathroom on it. It may have been completely staged, I forget.
That's funny.
But yeah, there's definitely a toilet.
Did you ever end up driving the van at all for the shoot?
I didn't. Zach actually, I don't know how much of the stuff they'd be able to do these days, but Zach, drove the van.
Who noticed?
It didn't look like it was on a rig.
There was.
It looked like it was all real driving.
It was either filmed from another car, adjacent vehicle, or like from inside. And then you're driving your car.
The scene where you guys are going to meet Sonny Leone. You're in a car with Jacob, and then you guys are filming Zach drive by on the interstate, which is and it's in the movie, and it's like, wow, they really had to get Zach to drive by on the interstate and film him going by doing that or whatever was doing that.
That was hard. So in that scene, I think Jacob. I don't remember if Jacob was actually shooting me, but I know Huck was in my back seat, and he was shooting either of us or just Jacob. Because obviously I can't film. But yeah, getting that right, I don't remember how he did it, but that must have been very, very difficult and very dangerous. There wasn't some sort of rig.
By the dome.
The Superdome?
Yeah, you guys drive right by that on the interstate at one point. That was cool.
That's right, yeah.
Was that your car you were driving, or was that just like a vehicle, like a hero vehicle?
That was my little used car, yeah.
Nice. Heck
so
yeah.
Made it into the movie. Hell
Immortalized.
Yeah. Oh, there was a funny thing we noticed about the green shirt that Zach wears at the beginning of the movie.
Here's some really interesting.
When he's taking his
we really went down the rabbit hole with this.
And we noticed the shirt Zach's wearing in that scene is the same shirt that Rob Schneider wears in the Benchwarmers. And Chris,
on the cover of the Benchwarmers, it's the shirt Rob Schneider's wearing on the cover.
Yeah.
And then Krista wears it later.
Krista wears it in one scene. I was also watching Drobot Taylor the other day, and there's a party scene where somebody's wearing that same T-shirt. It has like this like lion kind of outline on it and a number on the back.
It's like kind of like playing off like an 8.
I don't know if you guys had the same costume designer as Benchwarmers.
Sounds like someone got lazy. No, I don't. I really don't know. I'm trying to remember. I know he wore a green shirt.
It's just something we noticed because we're such movie enthusiasts. We're like, I've seen that movie in that shirt
before.
Three different movies. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And
there's one shirt he wears. I came from Western Iowa, and we had won this video contest, my friend and I, and I had the shirt that we got as a prize, and also it said "I love Western Iowa," and somehow within like 2 days, Zach had gotten a shirt that I heard Eastern Iowa, and I think I wear my Western Iowa shirt in the film, and I think he gets to wear his as well.
Yeah, we're watching the first trailers on YouTube, and you have the first line in the trailer. That was another cool thing about the trailers I noticed. You're,
What's the line?
you're asking Nicole about like
If Matt's a good kisser
if
or
Matt's
not.
a good kisser.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I remember when that trailer dropped, I think was it July of
It
2010?
was either July or August of 2010.
And I remember
they waited a while to put the
it
trailers
was like
out.
it was like the #1 trending thing on
remember
IMDb that day.
You know, it had some good buzz. Yeah, it was. I remember it was the #1 trending trailer on
Because
IMDb
back then they
yeah.
would have like at the very top they'd have their videos from like 1 to 10. You know,
They'd
and
have
then
like a countdown.
the
of what's
number
hottest.
one, the #1 was
That
the
movie's
trailer
trailer,
for
yeah.
the Virginity Hit, and it was like a shot of Matt's face
I
kind of
think
looking
it
at
was
the
the
camera.
because the first 2 trailers, like they were kind of like the teaser trailers that didn't have the release dates in them, and it was one of those.
I don't know if they ever put the release date in them, but I will say when you say that, I think it may have been for negative reasons that was trending, if I'm not mistaken, because
Really?
that trailer was very poorly received, I think. And so, and we got we got a lot of video reactions to that trailer too. I remember one woman where I made a video reaction to her reaction as her, and she was like, she was talking about like how the movie's like every other movie. It's like, and this movie is like nothing that we've never seen before. And so I did a reaction to that, and then I did another video where I review yogurt, and I did it like as her, and I talk about everything she talks about in the movie, but I transpose it to yogurt, and that was really fun. But no, I think it may have been for negative reasons because they ended it with an epic fail, like with that tagline, "You can't go wrong."
Yeah, there was no release date. I think there was one trailer that had a release date, but it said September 10th. And is that when it came out in a limited release? And then I guess around the 24th, it came out wide or something?
Got it like expanded.
There was a lot of limited release. There was a lot of like pre-showings. I know they had one in Austin with what's his name, Harry Knowles. I know did one. And I know Adam and Zach and Matt went down for that one. I did one in Chicago. I don't know if you want to hear that story or not, but it's a very funny story. But yeah, I did one in Chicago.
Yeah, go ahead. Love to hear it.
So I was just, they had filmed it on Ain't It Cool News, what it's called, right, with Harry Knowles.
Yep.
And I was just looking on that website every day. I was never like a visitor of that website. It just wasn't my thing. But I was always looking for a new review of the Virginity Hit because they were screening the movie. And one day I get on there and I'm looking for a review, and it shows up big thing, the Virginity Hit screening with a special guest star Justin Kline in Chicago. It's like, okay, no one told me about this. So I called my manager at the time, Rebecca Manny Rosenberg, and I said, "Hey, did you know I'm supposed to be in Chicago tomorrow?" And she said, "No." So we called Sony, and they're like, "Hey, did you know that Justin was supposed to be in Chicago tomorrow?" And they're like, "No." And so they had to, at the very last minute, like find like a plane ticket or a plane in a hotel because I was under SAG rules at the time, so they had to get like first class tickets and put me up in a hotel, and it was very, very strange. But yeah, no, it was a good one.
Oh, that's cool.
Was that fun doing that screening? Like, what did they do? Q&A after, before, introductions, or?
Oh, it was so fun because they brought me out some James Brown music, and I just danced. It was like, and it was, I mean, yeah, it was just Q&A stuff. I forget like half the questions people asked, but yeah, we did a lot of that stuff. And I know we got a lot of like, did Matt lose his virginity and stuff, which we never answered. And we got a lot of, it was really fun. I know that one in particular was amazing to do. Yeah.
Tell us about the Comic-Con screening that you all got to go to.
So what happened first was they premiered the whole thing at Comic-Con, which I don't know how great of an idea that is. And it started with Will Ferrell and Adam McKay doing the other guys panel. And then at the end of it, they're like, "Oh, and by the way, we have this other movie that we want to premiere the trailer for you for." And the trailer, again, back then it was even worse than the one I was on YouTube. And people thought it was a fake trailer, and they thought it was a prank that they were pulling on the hall. And so people were like, "Do we laugh?" And anyway, they're like, Will Ferrell was like, "Oh, so we're having a special screening tonight if you want to come, and I'm hosting it." And we went, and he came in and said, "Thanks for coming." He said, "Boats and hoes." And then halfway through the screening, they were like, Rebecca, my manager at the time, was like, "Hey, we're going to this after party on this like rooftop in San Diego. You don't have to come, but you want to come?" It's like, fuck yeah. Jacob and I went to the side and waited. And that was the first time I think I actually met Will Ferrell. I went out into the lobby and he was just like standing there, and I was like, and I was like, "Hey man, thanks for making the movie." And he's like, "Hey, thanks for being in it." Like that was the end of the conversation. And yeah, then we went to the party and we all posed with, we posed with everybody and we had a good time. And I know I was talking to some people and our manager went and got Jacob and I, and they were like, hey, you need to come to like the VIP area. And we're like, nah, we're talking to some people. And they like forced us to go and like talk to like, I guess I can't say what Mark Wahlberg said, but Will Ferrell, Adam, and even Mendez was there. Yeah, no, so the Comic-Con stuff was so fun. That's when the movie hadn't come out yet, and we didn't know it was going to turn out how it did. And so we were all like on top of the world, and it was like we were all in this together. So it was like, oh my goodness, we're at this rooftop party, and it was so incredible.
But like Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, Adam McKay.
They promoted the movie with the other guy. Said, yeah, because Will Ferrell and the director Adam McKay, they did that movie together.
Same kind of team working behind it. That's awesome.
That's
man.
great. I mean, you got to be in a movie with Will Ferrell and Adam McKay were involved in. Adam McKay's like doing Oscar-nominated movies now and stuff.
He's
fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's that's an awesome story. So and then just hanging out with Will Ferrell, what was that like? What is he like? Like, because anytime he's in interviews, sometimes he'll be, kind of like the real Will Ferrell, and he'll be serious, but sometimes I'd say about 80% of the time he does interviews, he's kind of like going at like
he's kind of in character.
You know what I mean? Like, how was that? Like,
definitely. So like he showed up to the premiere in a UPS outfit, I think. But the interviews I saw with him there, he was doing straightforward, I think. Again, my interactions with him were very, very limited. I think we just spoke 2 or 3 times. But one of them was I had my date, her name's at the premiere, and I was like, I want to impress him. And so I was like, do you want to talk to Will Ferrell? And she was like, sure. Or she was like, much more than sure. And so we went up to Will Ferrell. And I was like, hey, Will, this is my date. And they had this conversation together. And I know Zach and Matt were hired before Jacob and I. And the first thing they had to do was they got to do was go to Will Ferrell's one-man show at the time, the George W. Bush show.
Yes.
And I hope it's okay for me to tell the story, but they were backstage because I don't know if everyone knows the story, but they were backstage and Will Ferrell asked them what they thought of the show, and Zach was like, it was great, and Matt went 1.5 stars. It was it was so funny. Yeah.
Well, tell us about Adam McKay and his involvement and how it was, with him and all that.
I would see. I think Adam and Will. It's strange to see who was actually really involved in it, because I know they were doing the other guys right around the same time. So I think most of the heavy lifting was done, apart from like money, because it was more produced by like Funny or Die. That was sort of the theme of it.
Yeah.
Instead of like the other guys, it was more like Funny or Die material. But I know like a lot of the executive producing was done by like the hands-on stuff was Owen Burke, Amy Hobby. I know the Principato Young guys, Paul Young came down a whole lot, Peter Principato, obviously. And I think they were the more hands-on ones. Not to say that Will and Adam didn't have a huge role, but I think only Adam came down to visit us on set. And I think they were occupied, I think, at the time. But obviously, I mean, if they're the ones giving us money, all the best.
They were pulling the strings from afar, like The Godfather. They were like the Godfather of the movie. Yeah.
And I saw like some of the premieres. You guys got to get some awesome photos with Will Ferrell and all that kind of stuff.
McKay and everybody.
So that was kind of cool. You all got to kind of just like jump in there together and kind of be buddies and stuff like that. That must have been like surreal. I mean, come on, we're millennials. We all grew up on Will Ferrell. Like,
I remember we were 12 years old, and it was spring break of our 6th grade year, and we begged our mom to take us to see Old School. Because some other kids at school had seen it, and I was like, I want to see it too, and she did, and it was a great.
And then we ran into kids we knew at the theater, and we're like, yeah, Mom's taking us to see Old School.
Mom's taking us to see Old School.
Yeah, no big deal, gonna be good, So we thought we were like badasses and stuff.
Yeah,
but just seeing like that metamorphosis of Will Ferrell's been interesting for all of us.
I'm sure you guys all were fans of Will Ferrell going into that.
Yeah, I remember seeing Step Brothers in theater just on my own. I went to see Step Brothers in theater. I think I was underage. I don't remember if I was underage, but I remember being on the ground laughing in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Him and John C. Reilly in that movie are just amazing.
Yeah.
The fucking Catalina wine mixer. I mean,
we worked in a movie theater when that was out.
I got to see that early, and it was like a group of like 10 people. But it was so funny that we didn't need to see it with like a packed house to see reactions. We were all just like losing it. It was just, yeah, and that was right after Step Brothers. They even used Step Brothers to help promote the.
Wait, what movie did I say? Did I say what movie? I meant to say Step Brothers. What movie did I say?
You said Step Brothers. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're good.
Let's see what
And you
else.
graduated from high school 08?
Yeah, I graduated a year early. I was meant to be graduating with 09, but I graduated a year
We're
early.
09ers, so
Yeah, we were born. Were you born 90, 91?
90.
Yeah, what month were you born in?
December. My birthday's Christmas, so about 15 days and I'm 30.
December 90. We're July 13th, 99. So hell yeah, dude.
Oh yeah,
All right, cool.
90 forever, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Huck and Andrew, like, you talked about them a lot, but just, explain, how great it was working with them and their success.
To preface, these guys are like, they were one hell of a team. Like I said, you said that they had the choice between directing this or Last Exorcism. And Ivan and I were elaborating that they were like, okay, I would have.
Last Exorcism was a big hit movie, for horror.
Yeah, but at the same time, I would have chose Virginity Hit.
Like I said, there's a lot of exorcism movies out there, but only one Virginity Hit.
But one cool thing about what they did with that movie is they put a really unique spin on the whole exorcism story. Obviously, the movie took off and
had a sequel.
Yeah, so
that's really cool.
Yeah, so those two.
Those two. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, just really quick, the analogy would be like this: Will Ferrell and Adam McKay for our movie would be like Eli Roth for their movie. Like that's the sort of thing. But yeah, it's very interesting that they chose our movie, and I think they were just really passionate about it. And Huck and Andrew are the funniest. Like, you can't find funnier people than Huck and Andrew. Like, I didn't purposely put this here, but they did this movie called Mail Order Wife that Huck signed for me. I picked it up in LA, and they say Huck will just be like sitting there and a dog will walk past and be like, I want to brew that dog into a beer and drink it. What? But no, they were the masterminds behind everything. I mean, obviously, Amy Hobby and Owen Burke were the adults in the room, but Andrew and Huck, I mean, they were just involved. They would come over to the house with us, and they were part of they would be part of the whole filming thing, and they were in complete control at all times. If they wanted us to say something, and I remember there were scenes where I went too overboard, or Jacob went too overboard, or Zach or Matt, and they would be there to direct, and it'd be like, oh, we need to step back a little bit. And so they were there to be some of the best directors I've ever seen. So they had this really amazing, I mean, it's brilliant. I don't think anyone has ever done this. They'd never done this before then or after then, but we had this really amazing guerrilla style filmmaking where we would go into, I know there's a scene in the movie where Jacob's going to go to the army or something.
Yeah,
I love that part.
The army surplus store.
We go in the army surplus store, and that's one of the first days. I think that may have been the first day of filming too, because it was right by the dumpster. And I think we also got the cops called on us for that because they kicked us out. And what they would do is they would have Matt put Andrew or Huck's name in their phone as Nicole, and we would go into the army surplus store, and Matt's phone would ring. And he'd pick it up and it'd be Andrew or Huck talking as Nicole. So we would have that. And so it would be like Matt's talking to Nicole on the camera, and it would be giving advice. So their approach to filmmaking is just unmatched. Mm-hmm. And if they would make another movie together, it would be dynamite. Yeah. And the fact that they chose to do the Virginity Hit over the Last Exorcism is just, I know it probably didn't pay off that great for them, but it certainly made it much more memorable for us.
Yeah, it chose the one they were obviously more passionate about,
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was the one they were more passionate about. And I, just knowing them, I can tell they wouldn't be as passionate about the other one. And if they hadn't directed, that movie would have been garbage. I mean, if not for Huck and Andrew, that would have been complete garbage.
It's such a unique vision.
They must have been really connected and knew what each other wanted and very just in sync. That's cool.
They finish each other's sentences. They're amazing. Yeah.
Like us.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. They're two very, very different personalities. Andrew's a little bit more mannequin like I am in this interview, and he's constantly coming up with stuff. And Huck's just sort of, more laid back. But they work together so well. It's amazing.
Yeah, man, and like I said, they're both just like you said, unparalleled.
And you can tell why we like it so much. If it had these directors who were so passionate about it and just so in tune with each other. The scene where Matt's buying the condom, how much of that was reality? Like, you know, he goes into that little like pharmacy or store or something.
You know, I don't remember because that, or I don't know actually, because that was the very first day of filming. Again with the dumpster and all that, and I mean, like I don't know how they would have done it without getting like a location, you know, whatever, a waiver to film there. But and there's that woman there who talks to him, and I don't know if I looked at the cast, and I don't think I saw her on the cast.
When when we watched the commentary, I do remember them saying that she wasn't like part of, she wasn't hired or anything. She was really
She was just
there,
like really there.
and they just kind of incorporated her into the
Oh,
movie.
nice.
And Matt
I
and
would be surprised, yeah.
Matt and Zach were talking about, man, that was kind of, she got kind of creepy, but it was great to have her in the movie because like some of the stuff she ended up saying to them or something, like they said she started going into her own story of how she lost her virginity or something. Yeah. So it was really cool that like, you know, you got to incorporate some real people into that were just
Just
hilarious.
happened to be there at that time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hilarious. Yeah, that was
That's awesome.
another thing. The car wash, the scene where you guys are doing the car wash and raising money to hook
Yeah.
that up with Sonny Leone, like that, a lot of that looked like it could have been real, like you going up and talking to all these people.
Yeah, it's funny because it verged on that where I mean I'm trying to think if I can remember all of the girls' name or young women's name. We had Rebecca, Daisha, Sarah, Carrie was in it. Anyway, there's someone's gonna beat me up for not remembering, but they thought it was reality, and so they went like on the street and they were like free car wash, and like how can Andrew be like, no, this is for them, like we can't have people paying you to like, you know. So no, like the old men they were actors. I mean, they're probably extras, but their responses were real. I mean, they may have even been real people, but we certainly paid them. But no, there was a lot of flirting with things that might have been illegal if we did play it real, like getting people to give us money and stuff like that. But yeah, no, that was definitely a scene where it went a little bit into reality.
There's a scene at the frat house toward the end where there's a kangaroo,
Oh yeah,
kangaroo in some guy's lap on set. So, I mean,
did that make it into the movie? I didn't see it.
There's just a quick
I got
shot.
a picture of it. There's a quick shot of the kangaroo in the guy's lap.
But yeah, we had the kitchen sink thrown at us, and I mean, not just that scene, but we had a kangaroo.
Yeah,
Someone was like, we need a kangaroo. And not just like, let's get a kangaroo, like, let's get a kangaroo and put it in the movie for 1 second. Like, so it was very strange. And like, there was a scene, I think it's cut out of the movie, but Harry in the script and the way we filmed it was he takes us behind the frat house. Is that in the movie? I forget.
you guys kind of go under it, or
they won't let you
it or
guys
something?
in because you're not girls, so he takes you guys like out back.
So Harry,
Yeah.
guys,
And at one point he opens this cooler and there's like a big bull's penis in it, and he pulls it out. He's like, check this out, or something. I forget the line, but he just showed it. It's like, why do we have? It was so crazy. Yeah, it was real. The kangaroo was real. The bull's penis was real. Yeah, I mean there wasn't a bull. The bull was gone. But
I hear there was like a zipline scene with Harry as well, where he goes down a zipline that they took out, I guess, for pacing reasons or something.
Yeah.
Those fraternity house scenes were hilarious. Where there's a stripper squatting at their house because she claims she hasn't been paid, but she has.
Danny Coleman is such a talented actress. Yeah, she's great.
Oh, she was hilarious. So Sonny Leone.
You gotta tell us about Sonny Leone. Like, now we haven't gotten into this yet, but you were the first actor to go down to New Orleans and just stay with the directors and help them in pre-production and help assist them in casting and all that.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah, because like a lot of characters hadn't been cast at that point. I know Savannah's character hadn't been cast, and I know the porn star hadn't been chosen. I don't know if maybe they had one in mind or not, but we were going through, and it was like, who's your favorite porn star? And I don't think I came up with Sonny Leone because I didn't know like porn stars until later in life when I worked in porn, and got to know them. But Sonny Leone wasn't my idea, but they were. I know we went through like, what's your favorite porn star, or excuse me, who's your favorite porn star, and all that. And we watched all the audition tapes of all the people auditioning to be Savannah. I think. And we watched a lot of audition tapes of the people who hadn't been cast yet, maybe like Harry too. Like, it was really interesting me being involved in that. Because I really didn't. I don't know how this comes across, but I just really didn't give a shit. Like, they were like, "Are you free for summer?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't an actor at the time. I didn't want to be an actor. I was more interested in like working behind the scenes. Yeah. So I came down and met Huck and Andrew was the most amazing people I knew. So yeah, it would be like we're throwing in an audition tape and we watch it. And then they did choose Sunny Leone, and I guess that must have been a little bit hard to find a porn star who would be willing to do that, and also one who can actually act really, really well. I mean, not to degrade, I mean, because I worked in porn, a lot of them can act really, really. The talent in porn is amazing, but for Sunny Leone to play herself in such a way, and to bring her husband, Dirty or Daniel, whatever,
He was
they were
hilarious
just
too, yeah.
Yeah, he was hilarious.
that yeah, we improvise so much with him when they're in the bedroom and like we're just outside playing with all the stuff. It really felt like it was Daniel's like van. Like the way we were playing with stuff and he got uncomfortable. Like that was just a van we hired. But it felt like it was Daniel and Sonny's van.
So Sunny was really cool to work with, really nice.
Yeah,
really,
we
like,
she did a lot of like those Cinemax movies, like back in the day too. That's kind of what we knew her
I
from.
knew because I remember there was one everybody in school was talking about, like Everybody Who's Anybody has seen it. It's called Busty Cops, and
Yeah.
she was, I remember she was in that or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
She gave me an autographed copy of her film Dark Side of the Moon, Dark Side of the Sun. I forget. I was one of those. Yeah, and then I remember we all went out to eat about a week or a year after the movie. Zach, Sonny, Daniel, and I pitched her a porn idea about the birth of Christ, and then she was on a radio show promoting porn or whatever. Back when she used to be a porn star, by the way. Now she's out of that game. And I called her up on this LA radio station. I was like, "Hey, why aren't you talking about the movie?" And she was like, "Oh yeah." Sunny Leone, no, she was absolutely fantastic. And I'm still like Facebook friends with Daniel Dirty, and it's so fun. But yeah, for her life has changed so much. It's really crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's so awesome. She got to be a part of it.
The four of you, Zach, you, Matt, and Jacob, you started a band together while making the movie.
So Amy Hobby, one of the I've said her name like it's Beetlejuice now, but Amy Hobby, who was an executive producer, was dating. I think she's still dating. I could be wrong. I don't want to libel anybody, but dating Joe McGinty at the time, who he toured with Psychedelic Furs. I think maybe the Ramones.
Wow.
And he also, what he was known for is he has this like a piano bar, right? Well, he opened another one, but he had this thing called the Losers Lounge in New York City, where they did like tributes to like an artist or a band, and they would have. I mean, it's this huge deal, and it's so sad that it shut down now because of the pandemic. They flew him down, and they were like, "Well, here's a song that we wrote for you guys to learn," and it was "Kiss Me, King Me," and we just at that point hated each other so much that we never got through it. So Joe helped us form a band. I played the keyboard. I think Jacob either played guitar or bass because Jacob can play any instrument you give him. Matt played guitar and Zach played drums. And we did a concert. I mean, this was all for like Superzak stuff, and I think like there's like 20 seconds of it on Superzak. Even though we spent like hours and hours of our lives forming a band and performing at an actual bar, and then Joe performed after us and did keyboard karaoke, which is fantastic. But no, we all had our own songs. If I'm not mistaken, Zach's was My Generation, which is the one that made it to Superzak. Mine was Psycho Killer. I think Matt's was Blister in the Sun, maybe, and I forget what the other one. Yeah, but we each had a song, and that was really fun. It was so fun to have Joe McGinty involved with it. It's just like in the moment you don't really realize how incredible these people are that you're working with at the time. It's very strange and to look back and be like, oh, that was Joe McGinty and writing that song for the movie.
I saw that he also played with the Ramones. That's like one of our favorite bands. That's really cool.
Yeah, I don't know the extent. Like he's a very established musician. I know he worked like a project with one of the Johns from They Might Be Giants. He's collaborated with pretty much any artist you can think of, and he's just he's an amazing guy.
Yeah, our older brother's a musician, and he's like, just we mentioned his name, and he was like, really? And did to know that not only were you guys this core group of real friends and like these actors thrown into this movie, you also ended up forming a band. That's just another amazing piece of like trivia. That's so cool.
No, that was Huck and Andrew pulling the strings and Amy bringing Joe down, but Andrew and Huck like form a band for a video, and we did. Like I guess just to make the social experiment and get us closer or something. I don't know.
Nice.
And there was just so much going into it. It's awesome.
What do you think when you first saw the movie? How'd you feel? How'd you react? Or what were your thoughts?
So the very and I don't mean this to sound the way it's gonna sound, but the very first time I saw it was a rough cut, and it was in this screening place, just a small TV, and I did a Q&A at that one too. But I saw it, and I expected to be cut out of that movie, like because I'm just kind of in the background for a lot of it, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna cut out of it, and I watched it, and it's like, am I in this movie more than Nicole, Chris? Like, and I don't mean that the way it sounds, but it's like, how the heck am I in like every scene of this movie? That's like the number one thing I focused on. Like, what the heck am I doing in this movie? I don't belong in this movie. But that was a rough cut, and then I guess everything that like the marketing and stuff was so strange, and like all that stuff, the hype about it and stuff. So when we finally got to the movie, I mean, we had lived it already, and it's hard to take yourself out of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think we definitely appreciated it a lot at the time. And I know I can't speak, I didn't listen to the director's commentary, but I'm sure they had a lot of thoughts on what they thought of it.
Yeah, the marketing, it was like, you can't really fault the studio or any of them, like, because, there's never been a movie like that before. Nobody knew how to market
Oh,
it. It was
Yeah.
an R-rated movie, told through a YouTube perspective, and it's just, there's really no set way to market a movie like that,
Mhm.
They put up billboards. in
Yeah,
the
I remember
city.
the billboards. Yeah, yeah.
You remember the billboards? Yeah. And like people got them to take it down. They're like, the mayors were like, take them.
That was another thing. They had an IMDb story about that on the news things in the movie news. One of them was how Columbia was getting
It said like, still a virgin, call this number.
yeah, like they were getting flack from
on the posters.
Yeah.
Was that like a real working number?
They were getting
set
flack
up?
from like parent groups and stuff about the poster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it took you to like a recording of Matter Zach's voice or something. But the poster. Okay, so like I said, I mean, just to say, we had a little pre-discussion before this. But like I said, we had this day that Nicole and I were flown out for photo shoots, and all four of us, we did all these photo shoots, photo shoots, and we got so many amazing pictures. But for the poster, they chose to not only do this, but that was not allowed by the MPAA or whoever, so they had to do this. So like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
It's not even going in the hole.
I just love how they went through all the trouble of flying, a lot of you guys out to do a photo shoot for the posters and promotion that they didn't even use. Like they just did that. It's like, the cartoon of the two hands. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think they used it on the DVD, some of the stuff with like Matt and Zach giving introductions to things, I think maybe on the DVD.
It's a shame that they didn't get to I think the marketing should have had you guys like at the center of it. It's too bad they didn't end up ultimately using that.
Yeah, it was very, very strange.
Yeah. It's just interesting how just how they end up marketing things sometimes. Just you never know what they're gonna come up
And
with.
the whole release date shakeup kind of,
Yeah, I don't think the trailers had the release date at any point. And especially, I mean, if Will Ferrell and Adam McKay are at the helm and they're filming the other guys at the same time, I mean, I guess it was just the way it was rolled out was very, very strange, and it definitely contributed to what happened ultimately with it.
Well, tell us about the actual premiere and like the red carpet they had for the movie when it was released into theaters.
Like it's actual big premiere thing.
Yeah.
That's one of the times where it's like, whoa. And so like we each got to bring up +1, obviously, and I brought and we all had drivers, which is it's like, oh Christ, this is amazing. I'm 19 years old. I have and all of us had drivers, and we got in the succession, and they drove us, and it's like in front of us, not in front of our car directly, but like in front of everyone was like Adam McKay and Will Ferrell are in the same procession as us. And so we get out and we walk on the red carpet, and there's people taking photos of us and asking us questions. I think there's one online, and then there to take pictures with everyone. We hadn't seen each other in forever. So to see Sunny there, see Krista, see Nicole, see everyone, and it was just amazing. There's some really great shots that obviously I didn't take, but there are some shots I didn't. I know there's one with me and Andrew. There's an amazing shot with all four of us, with Huck and Andrew on either side of us. And then that was just then like, so then after that we still had the drivers, right? So they took us to like the wrap party or the whatever you want to call it, the after party at this restaurant. And then we had this driver on call for my date and I. And it was just like, whenever you want to leave, this guy was waiting for us. And so we would just like call him, be like, hey, let's go back to the hotel. It was very snub. It was like one of those things like, I can't believe this is happening.
Had it made, man. Yeah, hell yeah. What was it like seeing it with like a packed house at that premiere? Like, how was that?
Oh, it was great. I'm trying to think. We had some celebrities there, if I'm not mistaken, but I can't remember who. But it was like we had our own reserved seats. I think I was seated. Well, I had my date on this side, and I had Nicole on this side, and we all had our reserved seats. This is where you sit. This is where you sit, and it was great. And still, throughout all of this, I really did not give a shit. So that was a bonus. It was like this was happening to me. It was like I'm going along with the ride. Like whatever. Like I'm gonna be back to being a production assistant in a couple months. So why not?
Yeah.
It was wild.
And I'm sure it didn't really hit you all at once. You know, it kind of took a while to realize, wow, I was really a part of something so huge and just amazing. Yeah.
And I'm sure.
But I don't want to speak for anyone or name names, but I think a lot of people it went to their head a little bit, and so when the movie didn't do as well as they thought, the people who had let it go to their head, I think they were very upset, and I mean they were like just really, really, really upset about it. And for me, like I said, I didn't give a shit. It was like, if this movie, if it's popular, it's popular. If it's not, it's not. I'm gonna be production assistant again. I'm not that interested in being an actor. And so for the people who did just build their egos on it, I think it was really, really rough. And I can't blame them when they're, when you're being treated this way.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot blame them. I mean, it's a miracle that I didn't give a shit. Like to be like anyone, to be any age and to be thrown into whatever.
You never knew this was going to happen. You just kind of
so you were just like there along for the ride. You were like, this is freaking
fell
awesome.
Into this amazing kind of experience. There could be like a great movie like told through your perspective at your age of just some random kid working his way in the business, behind the scenes person, but gets thrown into this big Hollywood movie, gets to become
with like all these Hollywood heavyweights working on it.
I'd watch.
I would read that novel.
Told through your perspective, or a poster movie,
or like a short film or something. That's like there's an interesting story.
I look at that.
I mean, that's another reason why we want to interview you. It's such a unique story.
Exactly. Yeah.
And really appreciate you. Doing this interview. Just there's like one of our favorite movies, and like I said, filmmakers very influential. Also, like I was thinking about the premiere, you said it was just like it was kind of like a dream because all you guys worked so hard for this period of time, and then when you all got to meet up again together and look at like what you guys had all helped craft together, like that must have been a really good feeling.
Oh, it was. I mean, there's a picture. I mean, there's probably like 3 versions of it because everyone was sending photos. But there's a picture with all of us in it, including Will Ferrell and Adam McKay, and Andrew Huck, and Kristen, Nicole, Zach, Matt, Justin, and I think that's all of us. But yeah, and it's like Sonny Leone has a shoulder on or a hand on one of my shoulders. Adam McKay, I think, has a hand on my. It's just for everyone to be in one shot, like to encapsulate. It's so incredible. Yeah,
it's a good feeling. I'm sure it was like an amazing feeling.
There's another scene we wanted to talk about where you guys sneak into Nicole's house. And David Jensen, her dad, you said you're a huge fan of because he was in what's the movie that Steven Soderbergh did?
Schizopolis. I have it somewhere. I never get starstruck by anybody. I mean, like I said, when I talked to Will Ferrell, I was like, hey man. But like David Jensen he's a local actor in New Orleans. I guarantee you, look up his IMDb, you've seen him in a million movies. Okay. But he's a main character in this movie called Schizopolis, directed by Steven Soderbergh, which is probably my second, just one of my favorite movies of all time. And he plays this character named Elmo Auction, but no, they hired him to play Nicole's dad. And I was like, he's so funny in that movie. And just behind the scenes, like I was talking to everyone else and making friends with everyone else, but I was too fucking scared to go up and talk to David Jensen. And I remember I was mic'd up and I was talking to Kathleen. I was mic'd up and I was talking, I was like, I can't believe David Jensen. Like I'm so starstruck with David Jensen. And like Huck gets on the thing and he's like, or no, Huck just walks over to me. He's like, why don't you go talk to him then? And I was like, I was so embarrassed. I forgot I was mic'd up. But no, David Jensen, he's an incredible guy. And he in the movie Schizopolis, he talks in his made up language. He's like Nose Army. And so a lot of people who have worked with him go up to him. It's like Nose Army, and they he has a little fan base on that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice. And that scene in the house where you guys sneak in to talk to Nicole and he chases you out. You guys actually did some stunts. You were like jumping off roofs and stuff, you said?
Yeah, we had mats down there, not Matt Bennett, but we had mats on the floor, and we got to jump off the roofs. And I think someone was hired to, I think probably be Justin Kline's stuntman and Zach Broman's stuntman, Matt Bennett's stuntman. And I think maybe all they did was make sure it was really safe. And I think probably somebody had to do the shot where they had the camera and they jumped off, because that would have been really hard to play.
Zach carrying the camera, yeah, and he falls off the roof and you see his legs go in the air. That must have been the stuntman, yeah.
Yeah, I can't speak to that, but that was fun. And that whole sequence too was incredible because, like I said, you have Andrew and Huck doing this whole thing, and so we're supposed to run out and run from David, and we run out and we have Owen Burke in the pool, and they just put a dog, like this dog, and where we're supposed to run out, and so we're like really reacting like a fucking dog. It's so incredible how much of that was just thrown at us and how much we just reacted to it naturally.
Yeah. I love, if you've seen anything we've done, I love anarchistic stuff. I love I love chaos, and that movie, there's a lot of that, and that's another reason it really stuck with us. Yeah. Especially that scene where you guys are running on the roof. I mean, that had to have been kind of scary.
I think on the commentary, back to David Jensen, they said he brought in all the blender, and then
he makes that little like concoction in the blender.
Yeah,
he said, I want my character to have this kind of quirk, and he like showed up on the set.
So that was all his
with all his like makings and things.
His green juice. Yeah.
That's what makes him the best. Yeah, I think he probably got the impression of what we were doing with that movie too, and approached it the same way.
Awesome.
The soundtrack, there's some big names in there. There's Iggy Pop, but there's a lot of really cool indie bands you got to work into it, and it really carries the movie. That music, I really loved it. Yeah.
So what happened was, apart from Kiss Became You, which is written for the movie, we had a playlist of about 50 songs, or probably more like 100 songs that we were able to use in the movie. That we had permission to. And I remember one of them was like Frankie's Gun by the Felice Brothers. And I was begging to Amos, like, we've got to use Frankie's Gun. I love this fucking song. But we ended up not. But Oh My God by Marita is such a good one. That just summarizes the whole movie up.
Yeah, it was used in all the promotion. Yeah, all the trailers.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, it was used in the promotion, and then the end credits during that final montage of you guys.
Oh, yeah.
That was really cool.
Love that part.
It's so good. That song gives me chills every time I hear it. It's so good. And we had some great indie ones like I Was Born a Unicorn, whatever that one is, and some of the really good ones.
There's one called The Bonsai Tree.
Yeah, really that's like one of our favorites.
It's right after Harry's like, I'm really sorry, she's a nice girl and she likes to party, and then it's kind of Mac being sad. They played a song called The Bonsai Tree. Yeah, that was really good. I'll have to send that
one. Is that the scene where, and I could be completely wrong, is that the scene where Zach confronts his dad, Matt's adoptive dad, and like the character's like, get out of my face with that camera, and Zach says something like, you get out of my face with that camera.
That song played, then it cuts into the scene between Zach and his dad, tell him, get out of here, leave him alone. And on the YouTube page, that scene is longer, and you could hear Zach and Matt really cussing at each other and getting into it, and it felt real. Yeah.
It's wild just thinking of that too, how David Jensen threw Matt into those bushes in the hotel scene. Really
planned, huh? Matt didn't know David Jensen was going to throw him into those bushes.
Yeah, and then after that, they did a bunch of different takes, but the best one was where he didn't really know.
Matt was totally surprised.
He had no idea.
Yeah, I think that's probably what happened. I mean, I know that's what happened, but that Matt was taken completely unawares with that. Yeah, that was wild.
You got to tell us your Tommy Wiseau, Greg Sestero story.
That's surprising. I actually looked over. I have a signed headshot of Tommy Wiseau over there. I'm not even like a big Tommy Wiseau. Like we watched The Room a lot during filming, and again, not speaking for anyone else, but I was high for watching that movie, and it's so funny. And no, I mean, there's not really we were at Comic-Con, Matt and I, and we were walking and sitting in the booths, and instead of sitting at the booth, Tommy Wiseau was standing there grabbing people, asking them to like take pictures with him. He just approached us, and like he didn't know who we were, that we were in a movie or anything. He was like, let's get a picture. And then he signed this huge poster for me. It was like, Justin, believe in yourself and follow your dreams, Tommy. And I lost it. I instantly lost it on the way home.
It makes perfect sense that Tommy Wiseau was
Yeah.
like, everybody come take pictures
We
with
had
us.
to, like, we know that
And
you,
pulling people in
Yeah.
to do that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
you interacted with him, so we had to just get some info.
Yeah,
on
because
that,
we're big of The
'cause-
Room fans. We
Oh,
saw
man.
the Disaster Artist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you bought The Room from his website and got the underwear advertisement?
Oh, we haven't.
I
But
have
we
the
know all
Blu-ray,
about
but I
that.
got it off a different website. This guy who makes his own Blu-rays or something, but it has all the bonus features, but it
Yeah.
has bonus features his Blu-ray doesn't have.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like we found on the internet and stuff like
so
that.
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
But like, yeah.
But I know, yeah, he has his own underwear line. That's crazy, and also other stuff too. Yeah.
Such a character.
I visited his website a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, he signed it Justin Love is Blind. And I didn't ask him to. I didn't ask him to. I just bought the movie because I wanted to see it. And so I had to buy it through his website, and he sent me the little headshot with it signed.
Nice. Oh, with the movie. Hell yeah.
Nice.
Hell yeah. That's good advice. Yeah, Love is Blind. So you said there was probably about 5 days of footage that you guys filmed.
There are days and days worth of footage that we shot for that movie. If we shot like an hour with a kangaroo, 1 second maybe then, but like we went to the water park, like, and I keep using the same example. We go to the water park and we filmed like 6 or 7 hours at the water park. Go play laser tag, 7 or 8 hours there. It just like all those Superzak videos, and like I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite things I've ever seen is that like 20-30 minute clip of us just eating in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, so the footage they had for that just must have been incredible and so difficult to edit, but they did an amazing job.
They had probably
They
so
probably
much
had-
coverage to
It
sift
took them
through.
so long just to probably
man.
sift through all that footage and pick and choose. Like the part where on the commentary he mentions like Zach, like where he's talking to Nicole about what Matt's plans are for their big night. And the director said, "Oh, we found that scene late in editing. Zach shot that." And we're like, "Hey, this is perfect for the movie." So like there's scenes in the movie that like help, carry the whole movie that they didn't even know existed until they were just sifting through all that shit. And they're like, "This is perfect." Yeah. To
Oh
help.
yeah, I remember that exact scene. Yeah, because we were on the couch in the apartment. Yeah, or the house. Yeah, that was definitely real. Yeah.
And how are all you guys these days? The main crew.
We just it's funny. I'm getting my phone out because this is really, really funny. I don't know if you saw it, but I was looking up the IMDb trivia for the movie last night just to see if there's anything I forgot. And I don't know who posted this, but it says Matt Bennett and Justin Kline became very good friends during filming. According to an Instagram post by Kline, they had a falling out and stopped talking to each other, it's really like as far as I know, I don't think we stopped talking to each other. I think we all went our different ways. After the movie, I moved to Los Angeles, and like I didn't have a whole lot of money at the time because I had just blown it all. And so I lived with Zach for a good period of time, and then I lived with Matt for a good period of time. When you're doing things like going on 4 or 5 hour road trips together and all of that, and like Jacob and I are still friends. I gave him some Hanukkah gifts maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Zach and Matt, no, they're completely doing their thing, and I think that every so often Matt posts one of his pictures on Instagram. It's like, what a handsome dude that guy is. And Zach, I know, was keeping really, really busy. Everyone else though, like the extras, like you mentioned Kathleen, but even like Amanda, Punch, Rebecca, Danny Cole. We all keep in touch, and it's very hard to go from, because we weren't just actors in a movie being in a hotel room meeting up every day.
Yeah.
We were in each other's faces every single day, and then to go on from after the movie and do the same. Yeah,
I like how the connection's still there. You all kind of still have like those stories back in the day, and then you always have that thing kind of binding you all together. You all got
It's
together.
like summer camp. You guys spent the summer together, and
established
Yeah,
all that
established all that
connection,
stuff,
and it's cool to know that it's great to know that you guys are still.
you guys, it was a real connection, and you guys
Mhm.
still appreciate each other like that. That's
Yeah.
great.
yeah. I can't speak to them. I get Zach or Matt on here. That'd be a great idea. But if they, it would be a shame if they didn't feel that way, because I think that they absolutely would. I think that you would absolutely have to feel that way, because none of us were actors at the time except Matt had done the pilot for Victorious,
Yeah.
and a few short films. But for us to be, and obviously Jacob had been a child actor, but for us to be thrown in this house and just be in the same experience for everything up from filming all the way to the premiere and everything after that, I would certainly think that you'd have that, certainly.
Mhm.
I talked to some of the extras still, and that some of them have had to move on from acting because I mean, they got lucky and they were in the Virginity Hit, and it's like such a crazy movie to be an extra in because like, hey, we're gonna, you're in whatever scene, whether you're in a bikini or just in the back or whatever. And so for them, it was really big for them because a lot of them felt they had gotten their big break. They're about to move on to their big break. And then after that, and they tried to audition for traditional movies, and I did the same thing exactly for me, trying to transition into, well, anything is a traditional movie that wasn't the Virginity Hit. So to try to go from such a crazy experience to that, very difficult, very difficult.
Hey, we can talk about his stand-up, and
Yeah, we want to get into that.
we definitely want to talk about your comedy. What we really noticed about your stand-up from
we watched
watching it,
a bunch of your videos, and
you're not just like a one-note.
you're not like Kevin Hart. You're not like
You're not a one-note comic.
You're like a one-note comic.
You don't stick. You don't. What's crazy? You don't really. You don't stick to just one style of comedy.
Yeah.
We've seen you incorporate music into your acts.
Like you'll show up.
You'll straight improvise.
You'll go straight method and show up as like one character.
Yeah, and then you'll show up as like another character, like John.
Very
Captain John Romero.
Yeah, very, very versatile.
Yeah, so talk about your stand-up
in terms of being a comic. I think like we could definitely see that.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've ever performed as myself on stage because it's an exaggerated version of me. But I don't think I ever even tried to be anything close to myself until like a year in. And I mean it was a novelty at that point where like I sent it to Andrew, and because at the time we were all still in contact, and I sent this video of me just being like, I'm depressed, and just not even being a character. And Huck and Andrew were just like, this is the first time he's never been a character before. But I started doing character comedy, and I don't know why, but I had Captain John Romero, I had Alan, and then when I was home from New Orleans, I did all of these videos in character. And I did a character named Travis. I think the video is called Travis Teaches You How to Dance. And I brought that out on stage and with live music. And that was really fun to do. And then obviously I have the song that I occasionally do it into my computer. That's very depressing indeed. Comedy, it's just, I think the thing about comedy is that, and I think many people have said this before, I'm certainly not the only one, but laughter is involuntary. And that goes for the Virginia Hit as well. But if you're a performer, people aren't going to fake laughter. You just have to be funny if you're going to get laughs, unless you don't want to get laughs. But I mean, if it's something like dramatic or you're watching something, like you can fake like, oh, that was so good, but you can't. Laughter is involuntary, which is the thrill of it. I mean, you get so high off of being on stage. You really do. It's the biggest thrill in the world. I mean, it's certainly, you don't get that high from acting or anything like that.
It's hard to make people laugh. It really does take skill. Like one thing I remember Judd Apatow said, he's like, look, it's easy to make people cry or like, get into something that's dramatic, shoot a dog. He literally said that. But it's really hard to make people laugh, and people don't understand that, how hard comedy is to accomplish and how much skill it takes. Yeah.
It's, for me, I do what makes, for the most part, I do what makes me laugh. And I think if it makes me laugh, then I can make it so the audience laugh. And so sometimes I'll go up on stage in a crazy costume, and it feels like I'm trolling the audience, but give it a minute in and suddenly you get people going, and then, after a while it's like, and then after a while people are actually like not hiding their laughter. And obviously, those are just the videos of me doing well on stage, but, and I bombed a million times, but it's very difficult to make people laugh, especially when you're doing a character, because people aren't a fan of character comedy.
Yeah.
We like how you incorporate like your musician skills into it, also like into your active
songs. You do a lot
songs,
of keyboard stuff.
Stuff. Not everybody does that, and that's like, we think that's a really awesome approach that you do. Like we said, everything's just so like multi-talented. You got a lot of variety to yourself as a comic.
Yeah, you don't just do the same thing every time. That's really cool.
As filmmakers, we like to dip into any genre, that sort of thing. But we just like how like versatile you are as a comic. It's really cool.
Oh, thank you so much. I've never told a joke on stage, is the thing. Like, that's just not my thing. No, it's such a thrill to do comedy, and I love it very much.
And what a great springboard, like, a movie like The Virginity Hit, just to kind of get you. I mean, you were doing comedy as you started. You said you started while you were doing the movie?
While we were doing the movie.
So what a great springboard with all those amazing, minds coming together just to kind of get, dip your toe in and just get really.
You soaked it up like
learning everything you needed to do.
Yeah, you kind of like soaked in all the information.
I'm sure you learned just gobbles, you know.
Yeah, well, and you know that song I do, which I'm retiring. Well, one because my keyboard broke, but two just because I've been doing it for a decade. Was written as Superzak material. There are other places to put it.
One of the other places you can put it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was written. Andrew helped me write that song. There are a couple lines that I do have to attribute to Andrew, but a lot of it actually. And we wrote that to go with the movie, and then I just took it on the road. So
nice. Yeah, we saw a performance of that on one of your YouTube pages, and the crowd was just like they loved it.
Definitely, everybody check out his YouTube channel.
Yes, we're gonna plug it up there.
Yeah,
okay?
we'll put a plug in there.
We saw.
It's just great to see you still out there. You know, still doing the comedy thing and just still killing it. Like you said, even recently you did some stand up.
Yeah, into my computer. I'm too scared to leave the fucking house. But yeah, occasionally I do the online stuff.
Nice. Yeah, well,
nice. Yeah, man. So glad you're like still at it, because I mean, like this, you're just like one of the funniest people we've ever like seen on screen, stage.
Your character was great, man.
Really,
you're great. Like your whole shtick, your whole persona. Like keep it going, man.
Yeah. Who were some of your influences in terms of a comedian, actor, like that's really influenced you in terms of your own comedy?
And musicians too. Like who's some of your big influences as an artist? Yeah,
like comedians, actors, musicians.
So it's not necessarily that I try to do their thing, and so it's more so that like I see a poster for Frank Zappa right there, and Frank Zappa is just so interesting to me. Well, he's a problematic character, but he's so interesting to me because he did what he thought was funny, and he was so talented at it, and he could just tell people. I mean, he was just a crazy person. I'm looking around. There's so many. I mean, I hate saying Andy Kaufman because then people are like, oh, you're trying to be Andy Kaufman, But obviously Andy Kaufman is huge, and I don't have too many influence. I wouldn't say Lenny Bruce. I think is very important to me. That he has one routine in particular that I imitate a little bit, and I think I would say Lenny Bruce, Andy Kaufman, and people like Frank Zappa would just be. They're fantastic, and Steven Soderbergh at being in film, and obviously David Lynch, Woody Allen, Tarantino. I wouldn't put Tarantino up there, but the rest of them, yeah. And you see all these movies, everything.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's like a movie you grew up as a kid watching? Like you just wore out the VHS of, like us. It was the Three Ninjas movies.
Annie Hall, man. I used to watch that movie every single day for summer, sort of like you guys did for whatever. There's an old joke. Two elderly women are at a Catskill Mountain resort. One of them says to the other, gee, the food in this place is really terrible. The other says, yeah, I know, in such small portions. I can do that entire movie.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's a great one to have grown up with, man. Like for real. Yeah. Great influence.
That and the producers, the original producers are my two.
The Gene Wilder one,
Mel
yes.
Brooks,
yeah.
Oh man. Mel Brooks is just he's great.
What's a movie that not a lot of people have probably heard of or really seen that you would recommend them watching?
Oh, Schizopolis, but also there's this movie called, and this is my favorite movie of all time, actually. It's called Last Night. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this movie. Have you ever seen Last Night? It actually, David Cronenberg is an actor in this movie. They also have Sandra Oh is in it as well.
Oh wow.
And it's a movie about the end of the world, but it's weird because it's like I think the best written movie I've ever seen. I've watched it so many times, and it's like the world is ending, but they don't focus on it. Like that's not the point of the story. Like that's just the given. Oh, the world's ending, so this is like the last 24 hours of what everyone's gonna do, and it's just so. I mean, it's amazing. You have to check it out. It's written and directed by a guy named Don McKellar, who's been in a lot of David Cronenberg movies. He's fantastic.
You know, this is kind of like a 10-year retrospective. So we really are like, we appreciate so much you like going so in depth with that movie that just means so much to us. Like,
and a lot of people too. Yeah. And everybody who worked on it, you know, they put so much passion and time and love into it. And that's one thing that gets me about reviews is like, you know, these people weren't there. They're being paid to shit on a movie. Like, and there's people who like dedicated so much time, passion, blood, sweat, and tears into it, you know, that really love it. You know, it's just, yeah. And you could tell that the love was there in that movie.
And we definitely are seeing some definite cult status rumbling for this movie, especially on the internet.
They need to get it on a streaming service. And
that's what I'm really big about. I mean, that's one of the big reasons I'm doing it. I would love to get the darn thing on Netflix or Hulu or something like that.
I think Amazon.
And everyone out there, you can buy the DVD on Amazon, eBay. You can rent it through Amazon, buy it digitally, iTunes, all that stuff. Watch it. You'll have a good time. You know, turn your brain off and enjoy life. Do it. Yeah.
But don't just listen to us. Watch the movie.
Yeah. Well, Justin, man, we couldn't thank you more for like doing this with us. Like, this has been an awesome, really good, really long, in-depth interview. And
yeah, and like it means the world to us that you're still out there doing your thing, killing it, kicking ass, making people laugh, doing what you do best.
We'll have to do a part 2 sometime.
Yeah, and we'll have to like link up somewhere else, maybe like collaborate on a project or something.
Anything, man. Like we're down for anything, man.
For sure.
For sure. All right, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, man. This has been a blast. We cannot thank you enough.
Well, here's something we like to do: a 3-way pound.
3-way pound.
Get up to the webcam.
Yeah, webcam. Boom.
Yeah.
Well, you have a happy holiday season, man.
Yeah, man. Have a great birthday too. On Christmas.
Same to you, and birthday, yeah.
You're going to get the big 3-0, right? We just had ours in July. It was scary.
Nice.
No, we had a good time. We really did.
We even got our little Christmas shirts on.
Yeah, congrats on
Yeah.
Oh yeah, mine.
Merry Christmas from the Griswolds.
Don't stop believing.
Don't stop believing. Yeah.
But yeah.
So, happy holidays. Thanks for everything.
Yep. And happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon, man.
Yeah, man.
Talk to you guys
All your
later.
presidents and premiers, kings and queens, you know it's true. And your dictators and universal soldiers, generals too. Put away your guns and drums, you've heard it from your birth. For it's Christmas time throughout the whole wide earth.